This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of April 21st to May 4th, 2025.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin.
I'm Wendy.
And I'm Brent, but not my last name, apparently, today.
I was just throwing a curveball to see who was paying attention to start us off. How's that to start a show? Well, appreciate everyone rolling in and checking us out. Been a couple of weeks since we've been here, but we got a good amount of shows and a lot of news items to talk about, so we're glad that you folks are here with us. If you are only listening to the podcast, again, we'll remind you you're missing a lot of the fun. Discord is where all the conversations between shows have been happening. Lots of good stuff going back and forth on Tuner Minutes, show discussions, some of the news items, and all. So again, we recommend it's free. Stop by, get involved. think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and we have polls, as we've talked about before. And if you want to recommend a poll, we're open to ideas. We're not super people. We don't know every poll idea that is out there. If you've got one, put it on our Discord in the poll discussion topic, and we'd be glad to put it up for you.
Yep, we love your input. We often take it and incorporate it into Tuner Minutes and other topics.
Yes, we appreciate that. That's a big, nice part of the community. All right, then, let's get ready. Let's move over to our spoiler-free water cooler.
You obviously love podcasts, but are you also a fan of movies and television? Do you want to listen to a show that reviews entertainment honestly and casts pretentiousness to the wind? That debates both film and TV topics in a fun, good-spirited way, while still getting to the heart of why we all love them so much? Then don't miss the award-winning weekly podcast, The Hollywood Outsider, now available on your favorite podcast app or at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
Kicking things off here, we're going to be doing our quick reviews. This is where we give shows ratings such as Watch It Now, Watch It Soon, Let It Sit, or you can skip it. And we're looking at shows that aired between April the 21st and May the 4th, 2025. All right, up first we have Andor. It's back for season 2, and they're doing 3-episode drops each week. So we've got a total of 6 of them in here. We've got, again, starting off season 2, we've got 1 year later, Sagrona Tima, Harvest, Ever Been to Gorman, I Have Friends Everywhere, and What a Festive Evening. Now for me, let's see, 6. So I'm going to go Let It Sit, Let It Sit. Watch It Soon, Let It Sit. Low Watch It Soon, Watch It Soon.
I'm going to go Watch It Soon, Let It Sit. Low Watch It Soon. Watch It Soon. Low Watch It Soon. Higher Watch It Soon.
You might be getting a clue, folks, from our ratings, but I'm going to give the first 5 episodes Let It Sit. And the last one, the 6th one, I'll give it a Watch It Soon. But the show's been mostly pretty boring.
Yeah, not quite the fast pace by any stretch, as we know. All right, moving on. We also have Ghost. A couple of episodes. We're in season 4. We had episode 20. I Know What You Did 37 summers ago. And episode 21, Kyle. I enjoyed both. I'd say it's Watch It Soon, High Watch It Soon.
I agree exactly. Watch It Soon and High Watch It Soon.
Well, I also agree that they're both good, but I'm going to give them both a High Watch It Soon.
Okay. All right. We also had 2 episodes of Surreal Estate here in its 3rd season. Episode 4, A Family Thing, and episode 5, The Gardener. I'll give both of them Let It Sit.
I have not seen these yet.
And I'm not watching.
Okay. All right. Doctor Who, 2 episodes. And, well, technically they're calling it season 2. We have this discussion every time. Episode 3, The Well, and episode 4, Lucky Day. I would go High Watch It Soon and a very solid Watch It Soon.
Similar. I would say High Watch It Soon and Watch It Soon.
Wow, I'm the opposite of you guys. I'd say the first one was a Watch It Soon. The second one was a High Watch It Soon.
All right. Look for some conversation on that later. Also, we have The Last of Us in season 2, episode 3, The Path, and episode 4, Day 1. I'd go Watch It Soon, High Watch It Soon.
I would give them both a High Watch It Soon.
I give the first a high watch it soon, and the most recent one I'd say watch it now.
Alrighty, and we also had the drop of the new show Star Wars Tales of the Underworld. I have not seen it.
I saw it, and I would give it a solid watch it soon, if not a little high for the first part.
Excellent. I have not seen it yet, but I do plan on seeing it.
Excellent. All right, let's get into news and feedback. First off, we do have a few messages from Jesse Jackson on a few different topics we're going to put together here for you.
Kevin, you better say what those topics are, because I took out his intro for each of them.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and we had some voicemail messages from Jesse Jackson since we last recorded. He's going to share some feedback about some Star Trek-themed Black Mirror episodes, a little bit about the Sandman series, and also physical media.
I've not watched any of Black Mirror except the USS Callister episodes. There is two. One that came out in 2017. It's a Star Trek parody that takes a very interesting dark turn. And then this latest season, they did a sequel. It is a great cast, and it is a wonderful 1-2 punch. If you can watch the first one and then watch the second one, I think knowing all three of you, you will everything about it. It talks about, it's a Star Trek parody. It talks about gaming. It just is a really, really solid story. So let me know what you guys think. I do agree. It has been a long time since the first season. However, I'm pretty sure that the series is going to be similar to the comic book series or the trade paperback, where they're each standalone story. Like, as long as you remember that Dream is the, charge of all the dream world and who his siblings are, I think we're going to be okay. Sad that this is a series of 8 or 9 books that could have given us years of really great storytelling. However, due to the source, that is not going to happen. I think that's also one of the reasons why Dead Boy Detectives did not get another season, which is sad in its own right. We're talking about physical media, and that would be a hell of a sooner minute. In fact, it's probably been one before, and it'll be one again. There was a time when I bought everything. I had every Buffy season, every Angel. I had all of West Wing. I had Ken Burns baseball. And I still have a lot of those, but it has been a long time since I bought something on physical that wasn't a Bruce Springsteen, DVD, documentary, or live concert. I still buy musical CDs fairly often, but I just stopped buying TV shows and movies. And Kevin, I'm sorry, Brent is right. When you go to the library or you go to your streaming services, there may not be what you want, but there is so much other material out there that I haven't watched. I just go, okay, I can't get number 1 on my list, so now I'm going to go to number 2, and if maybe go to number 3. And so it's not like I don't have things to fill my time. Will I sell my West Wing DVDs? Probably not. But I may sell my Buffy ones or give them away. Cause it has been years since I rewatched Buffy. Anyway, it's a sad day because there was a time when that was what my family knew what to get me for Christmas or my birthday. And now then, I mostly even buy Kindle books.
Thank you, Jesse. We greatly appreciate multiple messages there since the last time we recorded. The info you shared about the Black Mirror episodes, I was not aware of that in terms of the Star Trek or similar theme there. So maybe you've just given me a reason to actually pay attention and maybe give a couple of those a try. So that's great. That's a great situation where we love when our listeners share something, certainly that I wasn't aware of. I haven't gotten into The Sandman in season 1, and I know that it's got a ton of content there, and for all the reasons you mentioned as to why it's going to end is when it is. The physical media discussion, yeah, we could probably go round and round on that one for a while, couldn't we? And we have in good ways, both on our forums and here on the podcast. The only thing to comment on, the Buffy rewatch, certainly that's for me. I am regularly rewatching, and I do have all those on DVD. Although now that it's available on the streaming services, and we touched on this, I think it's some 200 minutes, I don't even bother to get up to get my DVDs. I find where it is to rewatch it that way. So yeah, even having the physical disc, even if it's something you haven't gone back to, I guess it just depends. And like you said, things are not always available on the services, whether it's a show or certainly movies. They move around from where they're at. So sometimes you just got to, as you said, step back and not be as specific in what you want to watch. And that's just a different angle than many of us are used to. That was always the upside, right, of the physical media. I got it. I can watch it anytime I want. So trade-offs, I guess. Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. It was great to hear from you. I'm going to go in the opposite order. So media, as you were talking, I was recalling that I, not too long ago, donated a ton of DVD shows to my local library because I wasn't rewatching them, and I can access them through various streaming sources. And I haven't bought any physical media other than music CDs as well. So for some reason, I still haven't given those up. I don't know why. And it's not like I'm playing them through the DVD player, because I'm not. I'm still streaming music. When I'm wandering around the house listening to music, I'm usually listening to something streaming. Sandman, I agree. There's so much content and potential. Who knows? Maybe 5 or 10 years from now, it will be less entwined with the problems of its creator, and maybe it will come again. I'm just hoping that we get something coherent to wrap out this run that we're about to get. I got to admit, season 1 definitely looked right. The characters looked right, but I was very bored with the story. I don't know why. It just, I don't know, didn't grab me the way it did as graphic novels back in the day. And thank you for the USS Callister on Black Mirror episode. I will definitely put that on the list to check out. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. I did hear about the Callister episodes on Black Mirror. I'm not a fan of Black Mirror, but I haven't watched them. However, the wonderful YouTube site called Trek Culture, they do a series on all the Star Trek episodes that are showing called Ups and Downs, and they did Ups and Downs on those 2 episodes because they are Trek related. And that's how I got my exposure to them. And they went into great detail about the episodes and what they were. And I thought they were pretty cool. I might watch them someday, but I feel like I have already. So I appreciate you pointing that out, especially to our listeners. We should have pointed that out a while back. At least I should have when I discovered them. On the media topic, I fell into the trap that a lot of people are falling into now. I stopped buying physical media, but then I really, really wanted to watch an episode of the last season of Continuum. And at the time, I could not find it. And boy, was I angry. I pay hundreds of dollars a month now for all sorts of streaming sites. It's hundreds because my big one is my Hulu Live TV plus DVR. So that puts it, up in that range anyway. And I couldn't find one of them at the time that had Continuum. So now I've put all sorts of Blu-rays and DVDs back on my wish list. As you said, your family used to know what to buy you. Now my family knows what to buy me again because I'm putting them all on there because I'm going to rebuild my library. Because I felt kind of assaulted in a way. It's like, wait a minute. I'm paying all this money and I can't see what I want to watch. Oh, I hate that. So I've been putting that on there right now, and it is, like you said, I have not had let me phrase that. I can't do what you do, where you say, I'm going there to watch, like if I was going to watch that episode of Continuum or episodes of Continuum, and I'm like, oh, darn it, it's not there. Let me look for something else. No, I want to watch that. That's why I went there. It really frustrates me when they don't have it. So I think there is going to be, if it's not already happening, a very big rebellion towards physical media. But we've seen from that article that we talked about in the last podcast that the sales are drastically down on physical media. So I just get this feeling that people are going to be like, I want to see it, but I can't, why isn't it there? And there's going to be a bit of a push. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'm just dreaming.
No, I think I agree with you there, Brent. I think there will eventually. But again, it's also a part of it. And I don't want to keep putting us in the get off my lawn crowd. But I think some of the younger folks are just more willing to say, oh, shrug a shoulder, move on to the next thing. It's some of us who are very used to having that item in our hands and therefore having that ability to say, yeah, that's exactly what I want now. It hurts more, I think, maybe that we have a situation like you described. Maybe there's one you were interested in, just didn't have it. And then you got a situation like I know happened with the Continuum where those were out of print and any of the ones available, Amazon or elsewhere were incredibly marked up, inflated in price too, which makes it even harder. So It's tough, but I do think there will be a little. I still keep waiting for them to explain to us why they can't have print on demand or something options for some of these things where they complain. It's too much upfront cost to put it together. But hey, I guess we'll see.
Or a la carte menu. So
yeah,
maybe
you
have a subscription of 1,000 shows and switch out, which 1,000 you have access to.
I like the on-demand printing. I mean, Amazon does it for books now, for a lot of, especially self-published books. They'll be printed on demand when you buy them. I have no problem waiting a week or even 2 weeks to get a box set or something if I really want it, if they'll do that for me.
Yep, I guess we're going to see. All right, then, moving into some news items, trailers, and other fun stuff we got this week. We're going to let Wendy kick off the biggest news from one of the Netflix shows we all love.
Yep, we got a proper almost 2-minute trailer of Wednesday, which is coming back for season 2 in the summer, which technically kicks off June 21st. But no specific date yet. And this was great. Definitely set up what might be some of the key story points, hit all the right notes in terms of running through all the characters we expect to see back, and I just loved it. I'm definitely very excited for this show to come back.
Yeah, at least in this trailer or teaser or whatever, it really put a smile on my face because I was so pleased to see that all the actors are still nailing the characters. Jen Ortega is doing a great job as Wednesday. It still feels like Wednesday in the scene she was in, and there are some funny bits in there. And there's some bits where I kind of roll my eyes a little bit and just have to go with it. Like the TSA not immediately arresting her or pulling guns on her when she pulls out all these weapons.
Yeah, it definitely nailed the tone of what we were looking for. And it is a meaty teaser in that sense. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get a longer trailer, but it was some good stuff to get us there in terms of reminding us how much we enjoyed this show. And I do believe we do have dates. They're going to do it in 2 parts, 2, I believe, 4 episode drops, as Netflix has started to do a lot more for their very popular shows. The first set in early August, and then the other set not long after Labor Day. All right, continuing with some trailers and release dates. Brent's got some info about Resident Alien.
Yeah, the Resident Alien Season 4 official trailer is out there, and we do have the premiere date. It's going to premiere on June 6, 2025. I enjoyed this trailer quite a bit. Everybody's older though. There was such a gap in these seasons, right? Because it took them a while to get renewed and so forth. That everyone's, even the boy, his voice has changed. So now he's got a deeper voice. It's just weird. But the show still looks hilarious, and I know Kevin's going to talk about it later. But when he talks about his, don't tell him I'm telling you this, but he has a YouTube channel, and he's got a reaction to this trailer. Go check it out.
Thank you, Brent. Yes, we'll talk a little bit about that maybe later. But yeah, as Brent said, excellent trailer. Good to have it coming back. We were concerned for the renewal, because season 3 was just top notch, I think, definitely in my opinion and many others. And I think they came back with a limited or a lower budget. So as you said, there was a bit of time between shooting. But based on some of the jokes that are in here, we have got the tone and more. We've got some crazy stuff happening with Harry. And great that it's only a few weeks away before we get to see it. And also this time around, it's airing on both Sci-Fi and USA Network. So you got a couple different spots you can check it out.
Yeah, this trailer was awesome. I love the twist with Harry's powers. Not going to say anything more. You have to go watch the trailer if you haven't. And we did talk about worries about, does this mean we're going to have less of the cast, or what's it going to look like? I think it's going to be really funny and really fun. And I am happy to see that pretty much all of the cast was shown in this trailer. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, also we've got some news. I've got the link in the show notes for another show coming to Sci-Fi in June, just about a week after Resident Alien. And this is the show that we've touched on very briefly called Revival. So we're going to get it premiering on June the 12th on Sci-Fi. And the slight difference as far as airing with this one is that a week later, the episodes will then be on Peacock. So if you don't have Sci-Fi, you can at least watch it on Peacock, because I know a lot of the Sci-Fi Channel shows don't tend to be on any of the other services. So you got another option there. Now, this is the show that Erpers will be well aware of, because Melanie Scrofano, who played Winona, is the lead here in this one. Got a bit of a, based on the titles, you can tell if you want to call it zombie or folks back from the dead. So link in the show notes has got a link to the trailer and the poster, a little bit of info. It's got some interesting stuff. It is based on a comic. So if you're the type who wants to get a little background on what might be coming, by all means, Image Comics did the run of this. So it's going to be interesting to see what this universe is like.
Yeah, I was not familiar with this. My memory's terrible, so maybe we talked about it and I just forgot. I'm not sure. The trailer was interesting enough. It's mostly the premise, because, we're going all the way back to the 4400. It's like, this has been done a lot. So I'm going to need to see more than what I saw in this trailer to know that they're doing something interesting or different from kind of some of the past ones, which are pretty frequently somebody's loved one comes back and very conflicted about whatever compromises they made to keep whoever returned, and also we'll have to see if things go bad.
Yeah, the cast is going to get me to check it out. This, like Wendy said, 4400. I didn't even think that far back, but you're right. The Australian TV series Glitch was on Netflix, and I think we watched that, or at least some of us did. And that was a really well done one that was only like a few years back. It wasn't too long ago that they did that one. And it seemed to have a very similar, if not virtually identical to, at least looking at this trailer, feel to it. I have a feeling this one's going to try to, wrap it around current social and political events, because they have situations where the people coming back are shunned and treated as second class and dangerous and all of that stuff. So we'll see how much of that they put in there. I hope they stick more to genre than they do to politics, but we'll see what happens. I'll check it out for sure, based on the cast though, and the premise, which, like I said, is a tried and true premise that has worked before. It's also failed before, but it's worked with Glitch and the 4400. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's always the thing with a new show when you're trying to gauge it. Exactly how are they going to do it, and what was it similar to see if it's something you want to jump in on. All right, next up, Wendy's got a little more info about Alien Earth.
Yeah, this is described as the, quote, official teaser for Alien Earth, which is coming to FX. And the teaser is called Gestation Complete. When I watched it, it looked to me almost like a whole segment of story, either maybe uncut footage that maybe is shortened up a little bit in the actual show, but it looked like it could be taken straight out of the show. And it looks really gross, which is something I associate with the Alien franchise, let's say. So, this is coming this summer, not a specific date. I've mentioned before, I'm kind of interested in this, but not as excited as maybe I could be about this, but I'm going to need to see something more than the Alien. So I think one of the questions we had was how much Alien will we have in this? Looks like we're definitely going to have some aliens on Earth. I need to see some also interesting characters, though, so hopefully that'll be in what they'll call a trailer and not just a teaser.
Yeah, the first teaser they had was just like a shot of a spaceship coming to Earth or something, and then they have this one. The description of this one seemed to indicate that this was actually just a full-length CGI segment of the gestation that apparently pieces of are shown in the program. So, yeah, I think they just basically did this whole CGI thing ahead of time, before all the principal photography maybe, and definitely all the editing and stuff is done. So since this was available, they just put it out there as a teaser. And you're right. Hopefully the next trailer will have more of the people and exactly what the plot is and all of that. I like the Alien franchise, the Alien universe. So I'll definitely check it out. I still need to do my due diligence as a genre card holder and go watch the most recent Alien movie that came out that I haven't seen. But I will do that prior to watching this show. But I'm going to be there on premiere.
Yeah, for me, I think Wendy hit the nail on the head in terms of my thoughts too, which is, the Alien franchise is good on the squeamish stuff. And we get a lot of it here, but we still don't see any of our characters yet. So they're doing a good job, I think, of teasing this with these short video bits, which is cool, but it's now time in my mind to start showing us some cast or something beyond just the alien creature. But again, all we know is summer. So as we know, folks, that's probably anywhere without getting too specific on calendar dates, usually for networks, middle of June to end of August. So I'm guessing maybe the next thing we get is a true trailer, and maybe that'll give us a date. But I'm still very interested. It will come down to how the characters in this universe are something that I want to, come along and be worried about every minute of every episode, knowing that what they're going to be dealing with. But so far, so good on keeping us teased. All right, next, Brent's got some trailer info for an unusual show at Netflix in the sense that it's coming up with a season 4, which usually doesn't happen with them.
Yeah, it's Love, Death, and Robots. You guys know about that show. What's really strange is, and related to that season 4 thing, Kevin, I'm not sure I saw season 3. I know I saw season 1 and 2, and I loved them. And maybe a season 3 just sneaked by me, and I didn't see it. So I'm gonna have to go double check to make sure I actually saw it. But Love, Death, and Robots, as you may or may not know, is an anthology series. It uses animation to various degrees. It can be hand-drawn animation. Well, usually it's not hand-drawn, but you know what I mean. It can look like hand-drawn animation. It could be very lifelike CGI. It can be all sorts of different animation techniques. But they tell genre-y stories, science fiction, horror, fantasy sort of stories. The trailer looked really fun. I'm going to say that sentient cat we see in the trailer is going to be the winner of this season. He's going to be probably my favorite character, just based on some of the cool scenes they had with him and the funny bits with the little robot and everything. This show is worth checking out. It's, if you don't like animation, it's not, in most of the episodes, it's very lifelike. It doesn't seem like animation at all. In fact, they had one episode where people could not believe it wasn't done with real actors. It was so good. But it's definitely worth checking out. It's going to premiere on Netflix on May 15th, and check it out.
Yeah, it's not a show that I have watched yet, but I did see from a couple different folks in my social circles mentions that season 3 they thought wasn't quite up to par of the first 2 seasons. So maybe that's why, Brent, if you don't remember it wasn't maybe getting as much positive buzz as the first 2 seasons apparently did. So it definitely looks like some very intriguing concepts, I got to say. So while not a show I would jump to be watching, I'm certainly much more aware than I have been in the past. So maybe I'll wait and see what some folks think, since we're coming up on the premiere date very, very soon.
I remember this back when it originally came out, and I put it on my list, and it's been on my list and I haven't watched it. So this was actually a good reminder that this exists and it's on my list. A lot of really good actors are participating in these various stories, so I'm not sure why it hasn't been higher on my list. But maybe I'll wait and hear what Brent thinks.
Well, I definitely think the first couple seasons are definitely worth watching. There might have been one or two kind of misses episode-wise, but overall, it was very enjoyable. It's really, really good, Wendy. It's really, really good.
Okay.
Well, speaking of things that were good, for you folks more on the movie side, you may recall going back, actually now been 5 years, the movie with Charlize Theron starring called The Old Guard. It was a movie from back in 2020. She led a team of immortal folks who were warriors kind of taking care of problems in the world. And they couldn't die, or only in a certain very specific way could you kind of take them out. And I remember it as an enjoyable movie with a good cast. And not long after, I'm going to guess within a year or so, they mentioned they were going to do a sequel. Well, it took a heck of a lot longer since we're coming on 5 years, but it is going to be coming. The Old Guard 2, as I said, debuting on July the 2nd. Now, they haven't released any kind of a teaser or a trailer yet, which is a little odd. I hope that's not we're afraid to show it to folks, especially since we now have a date. But they did release a few stills. So if you want to follow the link in the show notes, they get a couple of photos there to look at. But I'm very much hoping to catch the teaser trailer or something similar soon.
Yeah, this was one that I did not remember at all. So I was like, what was the Old Guard one? Maybe I need to go back and look for this. And I probably will add it to the list.
As soon as I started reading the article that you linked to, Kevin, and started looking at the behind-the-scenes sneak peek that they have there, the YouTube video, it all came back to me. I had completely forgotten about this show, but this movie, pardon me. But then I remembered watching it. I remembered enjoying it, just like you, that it was a pleasant, fun, entertaining experience. So I am looking forward to the next episode or movie. I guess you can call it an episode almost, especially now that it looks like Charlize Theron is bringing in Uma Thurman into the show. And, of course, I'm a big Kill Bill fan, so I want to see that.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be paranoid about the fact they haven't given us a teaser yet. Because, yes, as you mentioned, with her there and just the fact it was a good, ensemble, too. So fingers crossed.
I mean, there is that behind-the-scenes sneak peek there. It's not really a teaser or a trailer, but it gives you them shooting some stuff and a couple of clips from the show or movie.
Yeah. No, there's a little bit. Yes, it's just odd that there's not a traditional teaser or trailer, but hey, maybe that's part of the marketing plan. I guess we'll see. All right, next up, Wendy's got a trailer for what looks to be a fun genre film.
Yeah, we'll have a link in the show notes to Tim Travers and the Time Traveler's Paradox, which went through the Independent Film Festival market last year and is now going to get, actually May 30th, a theatrical release on the coasts and probably then go quickly to streaming. I'm not sure exactly. This movie has Felicia Day in it, at least in the trailer. I'm not sure how big her part is in the movie. And this is a typical time travel setup where a scientist invents a time machine, goes back in time, kills himself, creating a paradox. And from the trailer, so this is not going to be any news if you watch the trailer, he seems to do it quite a few times because there are many, many versions of him and probably some other characters that get created as part of this experiment he's doing. It looks like it's kind of a quirky, funny take on some very serious consequences to what he's doing because plutonium is mentioned quite a bit in this trailer as well. So I'm intrigued, and hopefully it comes to a streaming service near me soon.
Yeah, it does look interesting and intriguing to me as the big time travel fan. I wouldn't say I'm sold on it yet, but it looks like it's something I will probably check out. The plutonium thing I took as kind of a nod in reference to Back to the Future, right? Because obviously the scientist stole the plutonium from the terrorists to make his cold fusion machine or whatever the heck he did. But I think it was a reference to that. But the premise in the trailer, how apparently at some point they stop killing themselves when they come back in time, and then they collect a whole bunch of them, and then one of them comes from apparently distant time in the future, has like superhuman powers, almost godlike powers. And the line from one of them, if God exists, I'm out. And he turns around and just walks away. It's intriguing. I want to check it out just like you. I hope that it shows up somewhere where I can see it.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I came across this one, it was kind of not exactly, since we usually focus on movies going straight to streaming services. But the fact it was time travel, which I know Brent loves, Felicia Day, which I know Brent and I are big fans of, and you got Danny Trejo in here, and as Wendy said, it's got a quirky nature to it. I'm like, this just looks like right up the alley of a film that'll get a very limited release theatrically and then hopefully be available on one of our services. So, but if you are someone who does like going to the theater to see a film, or it's going to be playing at a couple of film festivals, as I saw on social media, then I wanted to make sure you're all aware of it because it does look like fun. All right, another show that does look like it's going to have a fun aspect is Murderbot. Brent's got some info on that.
I sure do. Murderbot, we have an inside look here, which is it's got some scenes from the actual series, which is an Apple TV Plus series. By the way, it will be premiering May 16th on Apple TV Plus, which means I probably won't see it, not for a while, until it comes somewhere I can see it probably. But there's some scenes from the show in there. There's a lot of behind the scenes too. Obviously we get our star talking about the Murderbot itself, and we get some cute little jokes, and as well as an explanation of what the premise is, where the Murderbot ends up, what happens, in this at least to kick the Murderbot off in this journey. So it is very much the kind of show I would like to watch. Unfortunately, it's on the one streaming service I don't have, so I'll have to wait.
Yeah, as Brent said, this the trailer we got not long ago got me much more interested in this show. And this inside look has just cemented that in terms of from the tone and the humor. Does look like it might be something I would enjoy. So I keep sitting here on the fence as far as when am I going to pull the trigger to get Apple TV Plus. Between a couple of the movies they have on there and a few of the shows that Wendy has talked about and others. So Murderbot's looking like a pretty worthwhile candidate. So maybe this will push me over to at least try it sometime soon. But it was a good inside look to get even more of a feel for what the show should be.
Yeah, this was cool. I liked hearing Alexander Skarsgård talk about Murderbot a little bit more. And also seeing some footage from the show with his, I guess, crewmates. The thing that I loved was hearing him talk about, humans are stupid, and he's kind of afraid of them. And he's also kind of a typical human who's disengaged from the world, right? He just wants to watch TV. And I got a kind of a funny cross between Galaxy Quest and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy vibes out of this particular inside look. So I'm definitely planning to watch this. I have Apple Plus, and I will definitely be watching.
Both good things to get the vibe from.
Yes, very much so. All right. Well, we've talked a few times about some Netflix content, and Wendy's going to let us know when they've got a big announcement planned.
Yeah, so Netflix is having its Tadum event. It's going to be coming out, I want to say it's May 31st at 8 o'clock. And in this little announcement, it kind of runs through a lot of the series that they'll be focused on. One of them we already talked about, Wednesday. But just when they went through the list, it's like, wow, these are all genre shows except for maybe one or two. So Wednesday, as we mentioned, Stranger Things, One Piece, Frankenstein, were definitely highlighted in this announcement. So that'll be coming again in, I'm pretty sure it's May 31st.
Yeah, and it's a Saturday, and I was thinking maybe I would like live stream this or at least record it and maybe react in real time. I don't know if it's something the new Kevin channel might want to collaborate with. We'll find out in a minute. Maybe I can talk to Kevin about that. But I was thinking about doing that and maybe just doing some reactions to some of the stuff that gets dropped, because there are some things in here that look very interesting.
Yeah, and the evolution of what they've been doing with this. We had a little chat in the Discord with a couple of listeners too. Is, you know, when Netflix was doing some of their announcement things, I think maybe if it was last year's event, whether that was the fall or something, they did this thing over the course of like 2 or 3 days, and they did it like midday or during the day for like hours at a time, and it really turned me off as a viewer in the sense that I had to just, you know, try to cut through a ton of talking heads, basically hosts. They weren't even like people from the show too much. And I thought to myself, you guys really need to, you know, condense this down. And sure enough, now their plan is do it on a Saturday night at 8 p.m. So, okay, I guess we're going to really get to the concentrate part there. But as Wendy said, it's a ton of genre shows. Supposedly we might be getting either actors from or clips from or announcement of dates and so forth. I know the official Stranger Things social media accounts have been really having fun and playing up the event and stuff. So I'm guessing we're probably going to get some big Stranger Things stuff, whether it's clips and then finally, and I got all my fingers crossed here, a date announcement for that final season. So as to whether or not it might be a collaboration between Brent and I guess we shall see. We've got a few weeks till we get there, but this could have a lot of good genre information coming in it.
Party, party, party.
All right, and the final news item, is Brent has been doing a great job of teasing throughout this recording, is that yours truly, I have launched a YouTube channel. Link will be in the show notes. It's just K Batchelder, if you want to do a quick search on it while you're actually listening right now. Just covering a lot of what we cover here on the podcast, very honestly. Sci-fi and fantasy TV shows for the most part, with maybe some movie stuff. I put up already some reactions to the Resident Alien trailer and the Revival one as well. Plan to talk about some of the shows I'll be watching and looking forward to some of the other things that we're looking at. But, in a YouTube form, maybe some reactions, some stuff on there. Potentially just another outlet to have some fun looking at some things. So kind of getting my feet wet, figuring out a YouTube side of it. Brent has been extremely helpful. As someone who already has a channel and knows what he's doing a lot more than I do. So kind of stumbling forward, but having fun. So yeah, if you want to check some of that out, maybe some items very similar to what we cover here on the podcast, maybe just in video form or on a more frequent basis. We shall see.
Very exciting, Kevin. I actually went to the Resident Alien trailer, and it was fun to watch it again and hear you react to it. I may have one suggestion, which is to have a background that goes with whatever you're talking about. Just because the first one, Kevin looks like he's in the witness protection program, reporting from some secure safe house. But hopefully that will be one thing to see in the future. Where is Kevin watching?
Yeah, we've talked about that, Wendy. And he's just growing, but we'll get there. We'll get him. We'll move him into the high tech world of backgrounds pretty soon. I even gave Kevin a suggestion that maybe he could start a series where Kevin catches up on all the genre animation he missed for the last 50 plus years of his bias against animation. So maybe he'll do that. We'll have to wait and see.
A Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
First
all
watch.
sorts of things. Yeah, he hasn't seen Harley Quinn yet, so maybe he can give some reactions and reviews of that. Kevin is too modest, so I'm going to say it for him. While I do YouTube as a hobby, just for fun, and I don't care if I release videos on a regular basis or anything, Kevin's actually trying to make a go at it. He wants to actually be a professional content creator on YouTube. So I would really highly encourage you folks to subscribe to his channel, watch and like his videos, share them with other people, get people to go support him. and subscribe, because he's just going to create more and more good stuff. He'll go into much more depth and a wider field of topics than what we can usually cover here on the podcast. And like you said, in video form. So, you're going to get some images along with and video along with, his great insights. So, go check out his channel and spread the word, please.
Yeah, and we hear it on this show frequently. Kevin will talk about when he goes down a rabbit hole and deep geeks on something. So I'm assuming you're going to hear a lot of that on his channel, which is always fun.
Yeah, appreciate it very much, folks. Yes, I mean, and you're absolutely right, Wendy. Right now, it is definitely me stumbling on the video side of it in terms of, background and how I do that all. I mean, but, as I've definitely been seeing, as I pay more attention to that YouTube landscape, they said, if you wait till everything's perfect, you'll never get started. So I'm definitely stumbling in, but, looking for things to improve on, and, video quality and stuff like that is definitely one. I've got some room to grow there. I was just talking to Brent yesterday about some ideas for stills and videos and reactions and avoiding copyright and all those other things. So it's a fun learn.
Yeah, it wasn't a criticism. It was just, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, this is very dark for Kevin. Especially talking about Resident Alien.
He's got a ring light and everything. What do you mean dark? I'm just kidding.
No, but
he needs to know how to use it better. That's her point.
Yeah, folks who are listening are intrigued now by our conversation. Like, I gotta go see what she's talking about.
Yeah, like it looks like I have my head underneath a blanket trying to get it to work. Like some people had to podcast in the days with too much background residual noise. But yes, no, I definitely. I'm hoping one of the things that'll be fun for folks will be watching some of the early videos and then a little later on going, wow, he's come a long way on that. So that's, there is room for growth. What's, the sports analogy, high upside.
Looking forward to it.
High ceiling.
High ceiling. That's the phrase. Very good. Thank you. All right. Well, closing us out, we've got a tuner minute. This is actually one that I recorded, and I titled this one, Knowing More Before It Begins. We've talked on the podcast, especially recently, about how it seems like so many of our shows are now based on previous content, be it a book series, maybe comics, maybe a novella, maybe sometimes even a movie now being done as TV. But I'm curious, when it comes to that previous content, if there is a show coming and it's something you haven't already been aware of, be it read or seen, how likely are you to check out that content ahead of the show coming or maybe after it starts? In other words, what might trigger you to want to know a little more about a show before you actually watch the show?
Aha. I thought this was going to be about spoilers, and it is a little bit. So for me, the classic was The Walking Dead, because we knew The Walking Dead was coming for a long time before its premiere. And I went out and read the first compilation, which was essentially season 1 of The Walking Dead. And I was glad I did, because I knew I was going to be interested in the story. But when I watched the show, I kept looking to do comparisons to the content, like very direct comparisons. And I didn't like that. It didn't let me really just watch and enjoy the show. So when Game of Thrones came out, and I knew that that was going to be based on a series of books, I was like, nope, I'm not reading those. And also because of the other series, I'm going to forget the name of it. It was the one you loved, Kevin, with Craig.
Why the Last Man?
No, not Why the Last Man. The other fantasy one. Shoot.
Legend of the Seeker?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Sword of Truth books. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one I also read. And the Sword of Truth books I read kind of at the same time that the show was coming out, and they were wildly divergent. So in that case, it didn't matter, because what was in the books, it veered so much tonally from the books, and some of the focus. So when I got to Game of Thrones, I definitely was not going to watch that content. when we heard Wheel of Time was coming out, I was like, no, I'm not watching that. And I'm glad I've done that. And I think I might go back and watch some of those, or read some of those books. Not the examples I cited, but The Expanse, for instance. I think I'm at a point now where it's been long enough since I've been watching the series that I could probably read the Expanse books and just read them and enjoy them. Similar to, Dune, right? I read those books a long time ago, and I don't remember enough of the plot details that the adaptation didn't bother me at all to watch. So I think that's kind of my approach now, is actually there has to be a separation of time between them for me.
My first thought when I heard your 2 minute, Kevin, was, well, my answer is going to be very boring and very short, which is that I don't do it at all, Kevin. But then I realized I do, to some degree. Not to the level like Wendy's done for some shows, although she did remind me of one that I'll talk about in a second. But I realized that if a new show comes out and I know there is an existing entity, mythology, whatever, world, if I'm really interested in the topic, if it's a superhero show that I haven't seen, like a DC or a Marvel thing that I haven't seen, I will go look them up. I will go look it up on Wikipedia to see what happened in the source material. I don't want to go read it. I just want to get like a Cliff's Notes, bullet points, so that I at least think to myself, is this something that I really want to see? How exciting is this? And so forth and so on. So I do that to some degree on some shows, not all. Like when The Wheel of Time, when I started watching that, I didn't care to go do any research or figure out that. I just wanted to watch the show for what it was. And that's the case with most of them. The only one where I went a little further was exactly the same one Wendy cited, which was The Walking Dead. I remember, just like her, when we heard it was coming out, I purchased off Amazon, the graphic novels in book form, in volume form, for at least the first few. And I read through them, either before the show came out or as the show was first airing. I don't remember. But that's about the only time I've really done it, I think. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff like Rings of Power, where I know the source material already. That doesn't count because you're asking, do you go, get the background material, background information and research ahead of time. And I just don't do that in detail. But I do occasionally do it with, skimming Wikipedia entries and stuff.
Oh, I just thought of another one.
Yeah.
When we had a little bit of time before Rebels was coming back for its final season, I read the Heir to the Empire books, because that's about Thrawn. And that, I was glad I did that because that just kind of filled in some gaps and it didn't make me feel like I was spoiled.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's why this kind of hit me specifically. I mean, even with us talking about it in generalities, but specifically with Revival. Again, the interest because, Melanie Scrofano is going to be in it. And I saw some friends on social media talking about getting the comic and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, part of me would be excited and wanted to, as you both said, and as we all have known from all the shows we've watched over the years, sometimes these things diverge so much that you spend or at least I do, I spend too much time comparing one to another. And I'm like, that takes away from enjoying whatever this current version is. So I did not go to look that comic up. I normally have not done that for any of the book stuff. As Brent pointed out, there have been plenty of things I have already seen before they came to TV. Why the Last Man comic that I greatly enjoyed. The Stephen King situation with some of his content, since I've read almost all of his books when I was younger. So any of that stuff that's come to be it movies or TV shows. But that's a different comparison. So yeah, I haven't been doing those. And the only thing I have been doing, well, not any Wikipedia, is some of this content, once it's going, if I feel there's a lot of rich stuff there and I'm enjoying it, like Wheel of Time is the example, then I will go now mainly to the YouTube world to look for folks who are filling in things I may not be aware of. Or what I've even done so far this season with Andor is going, okay, this is not my cup of tea, but there are so many people that seem to love this thing. So I've been doing a couple of the videos from well-established channels for the most part that they don't really recap or review it, but they do talk a lot about what happened and what it meant or who it might be impacting. Because again, as Wendy kind of pointed out with some of those books you went to, I know I don't know all of the players here to try to give me a little background. So I'm selectively doing it sometimes, but it seems to me that I'm only doing it once the property is going. And when I am, it's only to maybe fill it out a bit rather than to compare it to another one.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I'll be curious to hear about what some listeners have to share around things that have content that they, were not familiar with the property before the TV show came out, and if they're kind of doing the same things we are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. We'd love to hear from you folks. Come to the forums or drop us a voicemail, send us an email, anything. It would be interesting to hear because the three of us are kind of looking at them slightly differently or different platforms to look from for content. So curious where you folks are.
And Kevin, you mentioned Andor, and one of the YouTube recappers channels I listen to, and it's mostly for Game of Thrones related stuff, but it's Emergency Awesome. And I'm pretty sure it was his channel had Andor. Is it any good? And I think we'll maybe have the answer to that question the next time we talk on our show.
I guess it truly depends on what you're looking for from it. All right. Well, with all that covered for news and such, we're going to now move over to our back porch, talk in detail about a couple different shows that aired in the last couple of weeks.
Today we talk about Doctor Who, Star Wars Tales of the Underworld, and Ahsoka.
Starting off back porch this time, we're going to let Brent lead a discussion about the latest couple of episodes of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'll talk too long, but maybe I will. I don't know. We'll find out. But I wanted to key on a few points. In the episode that is essentially a sequel to a David Tennant episode that we learned about. In this episode, they had a flashback to it. It's the one where he's trapped in the train, I guess, with other people, and then just alien or a monstrous entity, and they never actually see the entity, and it like controls their fears and makes them afraid and all of that. Anyway, in that one, I just had a couple of points. One was I remember watching even the Who Culture YouTube channel, which is a sister channel to the Trek Culture channel, talked about how Ncuti is they have him crying in every episode of Doctor Who now. It's like almost a joke how frequently he cries, and I kind of saw it here too. And I had the same feeling that they're really overusing it to the point where it's almost losing its power. Because in the past, if the Doctor cried, that was like, wow, what the heck is going on? But now they have this Doctor crying almost all the time, and to the point where we're starting to get desensitized to it, to the point where it doesn't have the same impact it's supposed to have. And I also wanted to say that I think he cried at the wrong time. They had him crying when he realized that the entity was the same entity from the David Tennant episode. Why didn't they have him cry, like, I don't know, later when that leader sacrificed herself to presumably send the entity back into the hole and save humanity? Why didn't he cry for that? It just seemed like it was in the wrong place. But and also, I think they missed a big opportunity in this one. And by the way, it may sound like I'm criticizing this episode. I liked it. I gave it a watch it soon, and I gave the one after it a high watch it soon. But I think they missed a big opportunity too in the end when the leader had her flashback of when she was a child and she was running from the attack, and she talked about that earlier in the episode. I would have loved to have seen a scene in those flashbacks. They already put David Tennant in here. Why didn't they have a scene with David Tennant with a young leader telling her to run? That would have been so cool. The tie-in to the mythology of Doctor Who would have been amazing. But they didn't do that. So I think they kind of missed a great opportunity there. It would make it very timey-wimey, as the show tends to be, and add a lot to that epic bit. The second episode I thought was even better. You guys liked it less. It is a Dr. Light episode, but that's not why I liked it better. It's a lot like Blind was back in the Tennant years. I think it told a pretty good story. And here's the reason I like it a lot, is it threw in what Doctor Who used to do really well. It threw in a moral tale, a moral lesson, a moral story. In this case, it's about lies and deceit and all of that. But it left it up to you to how to interpret that and apply it, which is what Doctor Who and Star Trek, old Star Trek, did that too. Really, really well. They give you these, they put this in front of you and say, here is a lesson. Make of it what you will, but we're giving you a lesson. And unfortunately, too many new shows these days, and New Who is responsible for a lot of this too. They don't just give you the stuff to make your own, draw your own conclusions or learn on your own. They kind of like force it down your throat and say, here's how it applies to today. And instead of letting you do it. This episode, I thought, did a really good job of doing that. It gave you this whole moral lesson of, people can be deceptive and lie and be not who they say they are. And it left it up to you to apply that, which I thought was really well really done. It respects the user, and I appreciated that. The viewer. It respects the viewer, and I appreciate that quite a bit. But man, I did want to point out that there were 2 episodes so far this season where Russell T. Davies has shown us boyfriends who turn out to be disgusting, horrible people. Is Russell trying to tell us something? Is this maybe maybe he's experienced some of this, and he's trying to convey that boyfriends are horrible. Don't you just stay single or something? I don't know.
Oh, that's an excellent point. I hadn't thought about that, but definitely based on some of the characters, we do see that. I think for me, I enjoyed the first one. I thought it was very tense. It did a good job of really being, that borderline of horror, which, Doctor Who's done a good job with, as other shows sometimes do, along with being, science fiction based in space and all. I mean, this was a very difficult situation, and you're right, there was a big sacrifice made, and we weren't sure who was going to be impacted. So I thought it was really good in that sense of, for me, it's the type of episode where, pun intended, blink and the episode's over. Because it just really went. There was no stopping to check my phone or wondering how far in we were. It was well done in that sense to me. So it really worked. The second one, this is one where on reflection, maybe I'm not rating it as high as I should, because it was very good. And it did do a good job, as you said, Brent, very much so of classic Star Trek for me, of the idea of giving you a scenario where you realize, oh, it's more than just what I'm seeing on screen. It has parallels to real life and how you're going to think about some of those. I guess maybe I didn't give it as high as I should, because very honestly, for me, I just felt so bad for Ruby. Not only with the total a-hole of the boyfriend, but just the realization of what happens when you have such an exciting situation of getting to be the companion with the Doctor, and then you got to go back to real life. That's not something that's often dealt with in Doctor Who, or any of our shows where we have situations where folks end up in totally, hyper real situations, and then through the nature of the story or the completion of a quest, you're back to routine life and what that might be like. So, but it was a case of where these were 2 very solid episodes for me. I'm very glad to see, what we're getting from Who so far this season.
Yeah, they were both solid episodes. I think maybe I had a similar, less enjoyment of the episode because it was pretty dark. We had this hope that Ruby had found a connection with somebody because this kid had this encounter with the Doctor as a child. So, she had somebody to talk to, and then he just turns into just a complete toxic person. So, and I definitely was missing the Doctor, though. and it could have been for that positivity, that lightness that was maybe missing. Brent, you made an interesting point about, the Doctor telling someone to run. When you were talking about that, it made me think of the episode with Matt Smith where he meets a young woman who talks about, the first time she met the doctor and he told me to run. So that would have been an interesting through line if they had connected that back. But that episode felt like very classic Doctor Who to me, so maybe that was why I rated it a little bit higher too. And it was kind of jarring to see Ruby back without the doctor and kind of off on her own story. So maybe that was, it was very enjoyable. So I don't think I rated it, that negatively. I think I just called it a watch it soon. But you made the comment about the doctor crying a lot. And I guess my thing about that was, if I don't know enough about the character that he's crying about, because in one episode he was crying about somebody that I don't think we ever even met, it's hard for me to feel comparable emotion as he is. So I'm assuming there's a reason other than he's great at crying on cue, but maybe that is one of his strengths as an actor, and Russell's trying to create opportunities for it.
Yeah, even Who Culture, who are huge fans of Doctor Who, by the way, big fans, their commentary was geared towards that, which is like, you're picking the wrong times to have him cry. And you're having him cry so much when we don't feel what he's feeling that it's like, it's making it less impactful for us. It's interesting that you mentioned the character that in the earlier episode, which was A Good Man Goes to War, which is, of course, where we find out that somebody is something, and we're not going to say what it is, because if you haven't seen Doctor Who, we don't want to spoil you. And I was watching, actually, I was watching a reactor that I love, watching that episode today. And as soon as I saw that character talk about it, I saw her face. I'm like, I know her from somewhere. I had to look it up right away. It's Christina Chong. It's the one who plays La'an from Star Trek Strange New Worlds. She was playing that character. Yeah, I saw her and I was like, oh my God, I know you. And that added an extra depth to it for me. But yeah, that we didn't even see any flashback of the doctor telling her to run, but she said, the doctor told me to run. If we had, can you imagine how really super cool it would have been if we had seen just a quick scene of Tennant, or even, well, couldn't have been Ncuti Gatwa, because she would have recognized him. But if it was Tennant saying, run, and she runs off, and we get that connection, and then she sacrifices her life to save the doctor and others. Man, that would have been so impactful.
Yeah, now to bring it out again. Interesting thoughts. All right, well, we are going to let Wendy tell us a little bit about her viewing of Star Wars Tales of the Underworld.
So I was telling Kevin and Brent before this started, I sat down on May the 4th to watch some Star Wars on Disney Plus, and my intention originally was to rewatch Ahsoka, which I eventually did. But I'm clicking around and I'm like, Tales of the Underworld? Did I watch this? I don't remember this. I'd completely forgotten that it was coming out. And Brent reminded me that we probably talked about this maybe a month or two ago. So I really enjoyed it because, number one, the first set of episodes is about Asajj Ventress, who is one of the characters I very much enjoyed from the Clone Wars and Rebels and that whole period in Star Wars. And then the second part was about Cad Bane, who is a character I do enjoy, although it was not known to me until The Mandalorian, really, I guess, because I think I did a lot of my Clone Wars watch after the first season of The Mandalorian. So Cad Bane is his origin story. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because Brent hasn't watched these yet. And maybe Kevin will watch them someday.
You can go into detail. This is a spoiler area. I don't mind.
Okay. So the Ventress stuff was really good because they seem to be putting her on a redemption arc. They seem to be setting up a future story for her where she meets a Force-sensitive kid who, I think he actually was a former Jedi. Sorry, my memory is not that great today. And they're going to go off and, she's definitely changed. And I think that there's going to be a future for her. I hope so. And then the Cad Bane story was about his origin with his brother, and his name was Colby. His real name is Colby before he became Cad Bane, but he was always kind of a person that was going to go down this dark path, not unlike Morgan from from Dathomir. You know how she became one of the Dark Sisters. So I enjoyed both of them a lot. I have a more of a preference for the Asajj Ventress character, so I probably liked those a little bit more. But I would definitely recommend them. I liked them more than some of the other we've had, probably more than Tales of the Empire. Although I just mentioned Morgan Elsbeth, that was probably my favorite segment of the Tales of the Empire stuff.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, as you pointed out, I haven't seen them yet, but I really want to see them. So I'm getting excited. And I'm a strange creature when it comes to spoilers. I know a lot of people like shy away from them. To me, it just makes it more exciting. I've always sought them out. I like new Marvel movie comes out. I'm not going to see it in the theater. I just don't go to theaters anymore. But I want to see spoiler-filled reviews of it, where people talk about everything that happened in it, because that gets me more excited when I actually go get to see it. So, I'm going to watch it pretty soon after we're done recording, and sounds like it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, and while it's not one that I would say I'll be getting to anytime soon, it's certainly a possibility now that I've got a much more open mind about some of these animated shows.
Well, the other one I watched was Ahsoka, and that was really good. When I rewatched it, I was like, now I kind of want to go watch some Rebels again. But the other thing about watching Ahsoka and also Tales of the Underworld was it kind of reminded me of what I'm finding lacking in Andor. And I liked Andor season 1. I liked that it was about how this rebellion, this espionage, this covert operations was starting up. And I don't want to turn this into talking about Andor too much, but the second season has not been as intriguing to me because it's going very slow. But also, season 1, I was very interested in sort of what was happening to all the characters. And in season 2, I'm much less interested in some of the side stories. Primarily, the Mon Mothma storyline is not interesting to me at all. So, if any of you are finding that, I recommend you go rewatch Ahsoka.
Yeah, it's a show worth rewatching. I really enjoyed it. Can't wait for season 2.
All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap us up for this particular episode. Always a lot of fun when we get to sit down, Brent, Wendy, and I chat about things. So we hope you folks enjoyed that. And as always, we appreciate your feedback. Agree or disagree with us. Makes for a lot of fun having some different perspectives. So do feel free to reach out. But on that note, I will say I hope you all take care.
Yeah, have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Catch you next time.
We'd love to hear our listeners voice thoughts and send us feedback. Call us at 706-927-8478. Stop by our tuningintoSciFiTV.com blog to record a SpeakPipe message, or check the show notes and leave us comments. From the blog, you can also find links to forum discussions and subscribe to our RSS feed. Call into our Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV Skype account and leave us a message. Be social with us on our Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV Facebook page, or follow us at Tuning Into Sci-Fi on Twitter.
The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 671, recorded May 6th, 2025. They're never going to know what our last names are if they listen to this podcast.